lighting our Christ candle. So as we light this candle, we remember that Christ is the light of the world. In Christ we are light. In Christ we see light. So good morning and welcome to you all, and thank you to our wonderful panelists for being here today. We had some illness, so we have a little extra airtime with the folks that are here today. So personally, my name is Reverend Kyle Kooyers. For those who I don't know, glad you are joining this important conversation. For me, this is a really significant topic, this idea of food ministry. A large part of my own calling journey, my feeling prompted to go to seminary, was the result of doing 2 years of work with the AmeriCorps Vista program in conjunction with one of Feeding America's food banks in southwestern Pennsylvania, addressing rural food insecurity. So the complexities of poverty, which I'm sure you'll hear that kind of come up in our conversation today, really require a lot of collaboration and creativity. And for me, I just saw such an immense need for faith communities to play a role in addressing those types of problems, right? And so that's what really kind of prompted me to get into the MDiv world, was to see the need for the church and those community organizing spaces to address not only immediate day-to-day needs, but also the systemic injustices that exist that result in families not having access to healthy, nutritious food. So, again, thank you to our panelists. I'm going to begin by asking you all to introduce yourselves and to share a little bit about the work or the organizations that you serve with, kind of to offer us the elevator pitch. I don't want to assume that folks are familiar with the agencies, organizations, work service that you work here on behalf of. So Heather, it's all right with you. We're just going to start and go right down the line.
Sure. So Degage has long been a partner of Westminster, and I'm here to speak or represent Degage today. We got involved many years ago serving dinners through a group at Westminster pre-COVID when it was sort of a regular event. And since that time, my husband Mike and I's involvement has grown. Degage primarily addresses the homelessness issue in Grand Rapids, particularly for women. However, as a secondary to that, of course, is food insecurity, because as you were unhoused, you were also don't have food. So Degage, while it primarily serves women in the, this is the greatest little card, and I'm happy to share it with anybody, it provides, it's three-pronged. It's providing emergency services for women, empowerment services for women, which include ID services, how to enter the workforce, helping them enter the workforce as well as preparing them, and then engagement services, which would be education in the community on the problem of homelessness in Grand Rapids and how we're addressing it. So while primarily women, it does serve men as far as for food in their community center, and that is available for 3 meals every single day to both men and women in the community center. The other hours are women who are unhoused, living there. Up to, I think it's 130 women can be housed in emergency service at any time. They're crowded, they're full every single day. In addition to the emergency services, they've recently, you may have seen in the news, starting in January, they have opened a complex care housing, which they identified 56 women who are chronically unhoused, using many, many services in the Grand Rapids area, emergency services, health services, police services, whatever. Those women that apply, and 25 of them are actually living just down 1 block from us. They are living in the old American Cancer Society Hope Lodge. Is now housing 25 women have homes. And the transformation that I have seen there has been nothing short of outstanding on when you are housed and have safety of housing, how that has changed these women's lives. So that's the most recent addition, and it's a collaborative with Trinity Healthcare as well.
Thanks so very much. And I should just note on the technical end, we do not have a working microphone for this room at the moment. So if you are seated in the back and having a hard time and I will do our best to project it. So, Pat, we'll go to you next.
Well, I'm representing the Community Food Club. The Community Food Club is an 1100 division. Betty Zylstra and a whole lot of community members in 2012 started meeting in our library. And this was, when I say community members, it's Salvation Army, it was the Methodist Community House. I don't know if Degage was involved in this. Number of churches, but downtown communities. And they met in the library, and the question was, how do we move beyond emergency food assistance? I mean, I go to Myers, I push my cart around and I pick whatever I want. How do we provide that kind of experience for people in the community? So anyway, Betty was instrumental in that, and then I don't know who else might have been. So at any rate, I got involved in 2015 when we opened the store. So the store is at 1100 division. We share the building with, oh my goodness, all of a sudden a blank
Repairs.
Home repair service, thank you, Mary. You're my prompt. She knows everything too, so if I get it wrong, I'll look at Mary. At any rate, so we share the building, and we set up a grocery store, and the food that we use in the grocery store comes from Feeding America, we have many farmers and producers in the area that donate. We have Walmart and I don't know, all different places, Myers, who else? We get a lot of Costco, various places. They provide their overages, and so that's part of what. It's all displayed just like a grocery store. You all are welcome to stop at 1100, South Division. Not on Sundays. We're closed on Sundays. A little bit of statistics is to be a member of the grocery store or of the community food club, you need to be less than 200% of poverty. So what that means in dollars is if you were a family of 4, and we define family as a household, it could be a mother and father and 2 children, it could be a grandma and 3 grandchildren, it could be whomever, however you define your household. But your family income is $62,000 a year or less, and you would pay between $11 and $15 a month for approximately $175 to $200 worth of groceries every month. Okay, so what I'm saying is, okay, I'm a family of 4, I'm grandma, I have 3 grandchildren, their ages, whatever. And if they're 16-year-old boys, the 16-year-old boys eat you out of house and home. Okay, but if it's a family of 4, whatever the ages of the family are, you're going to get between $175 and $200. And you're going to pay $11 or $15 a month for those points. Okay, and it's a point system. So you push your grocery cart around, and I want a bag of carrots, and I need a bag of potatoes, and I need 3 loaves of bread, but I also need the peanut butter to go with the bread, because those kids eat me out of the house and home. Okay, and so I get to go around and choose with my grocery cart. Here, we hand a bag of groceries to people. There, we push our carts around. And so that's basically how the Community Food Club operates. We serve approximately 1,750 households a month. That's 7,500 people every week. We're always looking for volunteers. And I'm a retired nurse. What do I know about groceries? But I know how to eat and I know how to cook. But what do I know about running a grocery store? Nothing. you know, but we have a very family, human-friendly computer system that if they go through the line with a bag of carrots, I push the vegetable button. I mean, I know my vegetables and fruits. I mean, that's really basically all I need to know is what kind of food is this thing that's going down the conveyor belt, and I push the button and it tells me how many points, and I just keep, I mean, that's the job. But your job is to serve the people who, you know, are members of the community food club. So that's the community food club.
Does Westminster subsidize this
Yes.
place?
Yes, we give through our mission dollars to the community food club, a number of area churches, a number of volunteers, foundations, healthcare providers, because our goals are also to provide healthy food. So our primary choices are fruits and vegetables of some sort, whether they be fresh produce or cans. And like meat, if you wanted a pound of hamburger, it would be 6 points. But a pound of beans, you know, like dried beans that makes, you know, a whole pot, that's 1 point. We weight it so that, you know, it's more friendly that way. So, anyway.
Do these people go to food pantries before the food club?
Many of them did, yeah.
Can they do both?
Yes.
Okay. Good.
I'm Jane. I'm here to represent the Interfaith Hospitality Network, and that is part of, well, the Family Promise is the larger organization that we are working with. So Trinity Lutheran Church has hosted the Interfaith Hospitality Connection. It's a group of churches, I think it's 25 churches in the Grand Rapids area, and they rotate weeks, and they bring in family that are unhoused. It's a mother or father or both or one or the other with children. Most of the families have children, and during the day they go to the Family Promise Center, which is downtown. The families go there for the day. Either the kids might be at school and the adults are there working on resumes, or a lot of the family, the adults have jobs, and so they're going to their jobs during the day. But then after school, after the jobs, they meet back at the facility downtown for Family Promise. And then in the evenings, they rotate week by week to one of the churches that are hosting in Grand Rapids, and they'll spend the night there. They'll receive dinner there. The dinners are brought in by volunteers, and then also volunteers kind of stock the refrigerator at these host church so that it can give the families some independence. Like, they don't always have to, you know, rely on somebody serving them. They can go into the kitchen and get some food that they would choose for themselves, make themselves a meal, or they can choose to participate with the volunteers that bring meals each night. So they get either transport themselves, several of the families, usually it's like 3 to 5 families that are staying at the churches per week, and some of them have cars, and the other people that don't have cars will come in the van. So they'll come at like 5:30 or 6 to the church, and they'll get settled back in their room, and the kids they'll all come down for dinner or do their own thing. There's some volunteers that come that will give the adults some time if they choose to have their kids play. There's a bunch of games at all the churches, and so there's volunteers there nightly for like a 2-hour block that will play with the kids and supervise the kids while the adults can just you know, have some time. And they have a meal, and then a lot of times they'll go back to their individual rooms and regroup with just their family and, you know, get ready for bed. There are 2 volunteers that stay over each night in the churches. And what happens on, it's Sunday through Sunday is the week. So on Sunday, there is a van that goes from the church that hosted the families last time. They'll pack up cots and they'll move the cots to the next church, and then the volunteers at that church will unpack the cots, set everything up. So every room is set up for the families when they arrive. And so for the, you know, the food insecurity, it's just trying to be hospitable and just welcoming the families each night into the communal space, making them feel comfortable, having their children feel comfortable. Some people would like to say a prayer, and that's appropriate, and you know, there's people that will do that, and other people you know, are just wanting to kind of unwind or sit with their family or just alone. So it's a flexible space each night, and we just try to give each family the respect that they deserve and want. It's a hard time for them, and they're going a lot of different places in the day, back and forth, and so are their kids. So it is kind of a time for them to just, you know, gather themselves in the evening and reflect and eat and enjoy a community if they choose to do that.
Is
So,
this 7 days a week?
yes.
It is, oh my goodness.
Yes. And so anyway, so Trinity Lutheran has been running this program for quite a while, and Westminster joined last year. So we are just supplementing and helping Trinity Lutheran with volunteers. So some of the volunteer positions are making a meal or bringing different types of food that they might need, or spending the night. And that you go in at 8 o'clock at night, spend the night, and you leave usually at 8 o'clock the next morning. So even though spending the night sounds a little more intimidating, it's really, it's just, it's not. So, but we do, you know, I have a sign-up sheet if anyone is interested in volunteers, and we can just send out some more information. But yeah, so that is, and then they go from most of the adults are either working with Family Promise to get their resume, get jobs, or they have jobs. So, and here's some statistics are 90% of the families that Family Promise works with to find homes, because this is the goal of Family Promise, place these families in a home. 90% of those families are still in their homes once they've been placed 1 year later, which is great. That is a very, like, if you can get over that hurdle, that's really fantastic. And then there's 1,000 families served through this program. And so it's a great program. So that's the summary.
I want to, thanks Jane, that tees up my next question really well. I'm going to ask our panelists about how they orient around the term food insecurity, or converts to food security, if that works better. But before I ask that, you know, in the world of food banking, you always have to have the statistics ready, right, and share with folks. And I think, and feel welcome to correct or asterisk any of this, I think the latest I saw was that in Kent County, our food insecurity rate is around 15% for adults, and then if you have families with kids, that jumps to 23%. So it's like a quarter of the population is food insecure. The other alarming number is that like over 19,000 individuals in Kent County live in what we understand to be food deserts, right? So they do not have access to healthy, nutritious food options within reasonable walking distance or public transportation, right? It would require a personal vehicle or travel. You know, could be quite burdening to an individual to find that healthy food. So kind of with those numbers in mind, and mindful that 10, 15 years ago, we really tried to make a move away from the term hunger to food insecurity, right? And you see that locally, you know, it's no longer the Grand Rapids Hunger Walk, it's the Walk for Good Food, for instance. Because hunger, I think, puts an image in our head that isn't the reality of what food security looks like. And so, curious to hear from you three, what does that term, food insecurity, mean for you, and how does that intersect with how your work looks to come alongside of folks?
I guess I would start with Degage being mostly emergent service in the food insecurity realm. Most of those people don't have space to keep food. So if they were to come to the food pantry or even the food club, they don't have place to keep food.
Right.
So I would say that is really fits the niche of emergency services for men and women. And there's a few children that come through there, but they are more primarily served through Family Promise. And what we've learned, both Mike and I are working a lot in this trying to understand this part of this need, is there's so many great agencies, and gosh, they are doing such a good job of not overlapping. It feels like they're all sort of working together in a collaborative way, but we're not duplicating services. We're taking care of women and mostly women who are both food and housing insecure. Community Food Club is working with families and individuals who are on that edge of being food insecure and meeting a different need, and family units have a different need. So that's what I would say. I've found that to be heartening, that we're not duplicating work.
Yeah, and you can see that with the way that the food pantry here at Westminster is a collective effort of a number of the downtown congregations. So it's not like St. Mark's has a pantry and Cathedral has a pantry, you know. So yeah, really good to see that.
Well, I'll tell you about a family that I served this week. This is the gentleman I'm going to tell you, and I believe it was 4 people in the family. It was their first visit to the Community Food Club. They had actually never visited a pantry before. They'd never, but he was without work. I mean, he said, my job ended, I got laid off. I mean, I hate to say this, after COVID and different things happened and so on and so forth, and the cost of food, you know, increased and so on. I'm sure his children got bigger and they ate more, and we all know that story, you know, when they go from, you know, a 5-year-old to a 12-year-old. You know, there's a difference in how much a 5-year-old and a 12-year-old eat. And his question to me as he was checking out, he said, well, if I get a job, can I come here again? And I said, yes, if you meet the requirements. Because he and his family were existing on 48, I think there was 48,000, which for 4 people, and I don't know what kind of house, I don't know the residence or anything about that part, but, you know, the working person, I mean, it's like, if I was in that boat, I mean, I remember many, many years ago, I ate peanut butter and crackers, because it was, well, semi-nutritious and filling and cheap. You know, so I wanted to assure this man that he was, yes, he can shop at the grocery store, just like, yes, you're a member. You know, next month, you're still a member. You pay your $11 or $15 or whatever it is, and yes, you can feed your family. One thing that is a barrier that I see that I'm not sure what we can do about, is we're only open from 10 to 5. And so those are limited hours. And I mean, I know there's some of you that are volunteers here, and we don't volunteer at 10 o'clock at night. I mean, the grocery store isn't open. They can't, I mean, if they get out of work at 9, they can't go grocery shopping on the way home. You know, so.
I'm, the families that are in the, at Trinity Lutheran, they're fed dinner, and then there's food in the refrigerator for them to make their own breakfast before they head back to either work or school. I think that for them, having a meal 7 days a week is a good foundation to do the rest of the work that is a struggle for them every day. So I think it's quite a achievement to go through the process that they're going through.
Yeah, so I guess to drill down even further on the personal dimension of the work, you know, I think there's a lot of misperceptions of the folks who need housing assistance, who need food assistance, and especially in the realm of food security, these are supplemental nutritional programs, so SNAP, food stamps, right? It's supplemental nutritional assistance program. It's not like you show up to a food pantry or even a food club and you have everything you need to feed your family for an entire month, right? That's a huge misperception, that if you have a bridge card or you have access to the food club, food pantry, you go to these services, you somehow have everything that you need. So I'm curious, what are some maybe misperceptions that are out there around the folks that you serve? And how do we combat those stereotypes and stigmas? Because I think the reality is any number of us in this room could very well be food insecure, could be housing insecure at a moment's notice.
Well, first of all, I would say volunteering changes your perception. Getting to know the individuals that I am lucky to work with every week has been truly life-changing for me and how I look at anybody on the street. I miss the days when we were open because that, even with my kids growing up in this church, that wasn't scary because that's what they were used to seeing. And I'm getting back to that myself. It's not scary. These are human beings on the most wonderful level, and I've just been able to make those connections by volunteering at Degage. Whether it's serving meals, which we're back doing, so we are serving every other month. Anybody welcome to join us? We would love to have you. Serving meals, or there's a variety of ways to work there and volunteer. I work in the thrift shop and help women shop for themselves and feel good about themselves and develop those kinds of personal relationships. That changes my perception at its most basic level.
Yes.
I'm not on the panel, but I just feel compelled to say something here, and you're saying exactly what I would say, Heather. I began and ran the food pantry here at Westminster many years ago. Don't ask me when. You know, that's beyond me now. But it was a great experience, and you just have those unique experiences every single day. Every single day somebody comes in and you can help them, or they help you, and you're both enriched for the encounters that you have.
Thanks, Jean. Yes.
You know, I started with Jean at that food pantry, and as I volunteered, I realized what great courage it takes for people to ask for help. And to come down our stairs and say, I'm short of food, I need help. And so you never assume that these people are coming in because they feel entitled to this. They aren't. It takes a lot of courage to say, as you said, Pat, with this family, you know, can I come back?
I was working Friday at the thrift shop for Degage, and there was a woman from my school district who was shopping there.
Yeah.
I didn't know if she was a volunteer. Oh no, she was shopping there because she's living in Denver. Like that kind of shocking, but okay, at a moment's notice, that could be me.
Yeah,
I
Ann.
think we should give Deborah Melentine a lot of credit for the food pantry because she does the shopping every week for the food pantry and she works so hard at it. She's told me about the pounds and pounds of potatoes and onions and apples that she buys, and she works really hard.
Thanks,
Is there
Ann.
anybody in here who is with the Sandwich Brigade?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
We had
And
some,
you
we
guys-
had some illness this morning with
Yeah.
two of our
But
panelists.
I've volunteered there for a
Yeah.
while, and can you guys say something about it?
It's a wonderful experience, we need more people.
They operate out of Meltrotter.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
It started here, you know, we were making the sandwiches here, not delivering them. And then, due to concerns of bringing outside food in, the sandwiches are made at Meltrotter. And I know that the Vanderwalls are part of that group. And if there's someone else that I'm leaving out, I apologize. But
I think back in the beginning, we made them at home. I
Yeah,
think
we did.
when it first started.
Yeah, there was, yeah.
There were a whole
I was
bunch of
part
us
it,
and we
yeah.
had like teams and like every Monday, I'd spread out my bread and
Right.
bologna and cheese and whatever,
Yeah.
you know.
Marcy, I saw your hand go up, and then we'll return to our panelists.
Well, I don't want to wander off the topic of food insecurity, but when I hear about Degage and Family Promise, particularly, it seems to me that housing insecurity
Yes.
is at least as much, if not more than an issue than food security. And I don't know how you tackle those problems. Do you tackle housing insecurity first? And then food insecurity follows, or do you have to feed your first? So, do you see where I'm going with that?
I do, thank you. Yes, you and the best.
Well, this gentleman, this past week, he was attempting to prevent, I mean, if you don't feed his family, if we don't somehow help him support feeding his family, then he can't pay for his housing, then he can't put gas in the car that, and to the job that he's gonna get, because he's still looking for a job while he's doing all of these things. And I have a feeling that he's the major household provider, and, you know, if we don't intervene on some level, it affects every level. Basically, it's all basic needs.
Yeah, and I feel like with the families from Family Promise, if once they get housing and they're in their house, they're used to having food provided. It would be quite a shock to have to go to the store and you know, just do all, that's a lot of work and time and money. So I know Family Promise trains, like works with families for all aspects, like once they get in their house. And I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure they would, you know, give them some ideas of like the pantry or the food club, and that they could facilitate some of that work to get groceries into the house with those families. Because that's a big part of it, is to establish and stay in your home is.
Well, and to Marcy's housing, absolutely. Childcare is another one, and then I know like insulin specifically would come up a lot when I was going around to different food, like the cost of healthcare.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I'm choosing between, like, do I have my gas on this month? Do I have medication for this, that, or the other, or do I have food on the table? So, Jane, you spoke this, curious if, you know, what do the partnerships look like? I mean, how do you begin to disentangle all these intersecting?
I'm just working at the church volunteering, but I haven't really been trained in the Family Promise, what all they work with, but it's pretty intense what they, because they're with the families every day at the Family Promise Center. So I don't really know. I'll have to look into that.
So I'm curious, since this is adult faith formation, and this is sort of the last question I'll ask before I turn it over to the crowd for questions. If they have any. I'm just curious, you know, thinking of like our commitment to Matthew 25 initiative, like any number of scripture passages that speak to addressing hunger, you know, how has this work shaped your faith? How has this influenced, or how has your work been influenced by how you see the person of Christ?
When I see the kindness that people who are experiencing homelessness treat each other, that's where I see Christ. Because they'll turn over and give somebody else a voucher, their $2 voucher, which is a lot of money there, can buy a lot of things. And they turn around and say, I know they're having a bad
That you
day.
need this.
Or I just want to buy you that scarf. And they give them that. It is the most beautiful thing to see. And I don't see that always in my own life, and I'm seeing that kindness of spirit and generosity amongst the people who have the least. That's where I see it.
And I know our families share their points because I check them out at the checkout, and, you know, I have too many fruits and vegetables, but this person doesn't have as many, but I have this points. And, you know, the experienced ones, they can juggle and shop, and you know, a little group of them will go out with what they came in for.
Right, the cooperation
And these are I didn't do anything, I just check them out.
yeah. The same thing at Family Promise when I was volunteering overnight one night and a new family came in and they had some kids, and I could have easily said, this is your room, but the other families that have been in the system for quite a while, like months or you know, some people are in this program for a year or more. It just depends on, you know, what their needs are and how they can maneuver out of it with the help of the organizations. But the other families would take these new families in and just show them everything. And I think that's more powerful for a new family coming in if somebody that is in the system is helping them and becoming friends. And they do become close, and they have interaction with each other's children, and the children know which of their little friends they would love, you know, and they're all watching each other and looking out for each other for the most part. It's very humbling.
Thank you. Curious if there are other questions that have followed up from the conversation.
Do
Yes.
the people at Family Promise get winter coats and scarves and hats? How do you make sure they're warm enough?
We don't have a system to collect that, but there's definitely church, like we do the coat drive here at Westminster, and there's facility, or there's resources for that in the community, but not like directly at Family Promise. Maybe downtown, but.
Yeah, Carolyn.
Well, I was just gonna say, having seen the Family Promise, I took the tour over there, that church is so equipped, it's absolutely perfect for the setup for putting up families. You know, where our church would be very difficult, just because
Right.
of all the, but we're able to partnership with them, and that's where we can't do that, but we can do this.
Correct.
But we're able to do a pantry.
Right.
And we can have other people help in that way. And I think that's the one thing about this church that is so wonderful. There are a multitude of ways for hands-on opportunities as members, and you just pick it and you do it. And it's wonderful. And that's been going on for as long as we've been here, over 40 years. So I'm always so proud to say that about our church. It's not just about us, it's about everybody out in this community. And Pat, one thing for yours, I love the point system because people shopping there have to make decisions. Do I want to spend money in a bag of potato chips, which is X amount?
Which is 4 points.
4
We do
points.
have, this is the Degage, but they're 4 points.
And those lifelong, those are wonderful skills that are being taught to people to make those kind of decisions.
And families, you know, sometimes we get these donations, especially during the growing season, of all these different fruits and vegetables, and it's like, what is? I'm a little bit puzzled, and so if this is a Spanish speaker, I would think. And oftentimes, they can rattle off, you know, how you cook it, and everybody around is looking, you know, it's like.
Aren't there people there that teach people how to cook certain things?
Oh,
I mean,
yes,
that's
yes.
part
And
of
'cause
the
we have
whole
classes,
thing, right?
We have classes, and I didn't even go into all of that.
So a lot of people
definitely-
don't know how to cook vegetables or whatever, because they have not been able to do that before. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's all part of the whole food club thing too, which is
Yeah.
fabulous.
Nick, sorry, Nick, I want to make sure we.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Hopefully, following up on comments that I heard from the panelists about how people help each other. There's a song that ends, "Let me be Jesus to you."
Yeah,
I'm wondering if you could speak a little bit more about the food pantry at Westminster, how many people we serve, maybe how much food we buy every week.
Sure. Are there folks that,
Is there anyone who knows that?
Jean?
Yeah, I volunteer here, but I don't know the statistics.
You know, they,
But they have been busy recently, busier recently, so.
Yeah.
Very-
Yeah, I don't know the statistics, you'd have to get that from Becky
Sure.
or from Angie. But
They do.
it varies. You know, I do packing. We used to ask people to come downstairs and pick things off a board of what they had, and they could choose so many from green and so many from blue and so many from red. But, of course, we couldn't do that during COVID, and so then Angie so we packaged everything, you know, one person come in at a time, and then for a survey, the majority of the people said that they liked it packaged better because I have a feeling that a lot of them are used to waiting forever, wherever they go, and to wait for other people to choose what they wanted, and then for people in the back to find exactly what it was that they requested.
Sure.
75 to 80 households are served a week, on average, and the poundage of food, I don't know, it's a lot.
Yes, yes. And Becky works for both the pantry here and for the community food club. And she helps balance things so when a ton of stuff comes at one place, it gets shared with the other and vice versa, back and forth. And she and her husband load stuff up and, you know.
That is a true.
I mean, she does,
She does a lot.
you know, she's retired. What does that word mean for all of you? Retired?
Well, you know, Becky is technically, she's on staff. She's a
I mean,
paid
she is on staff,
And
but
then
she's
she volunteers.
If you think we pay her,
We don't pay her enough, right?
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
I just wanted, Pam doesn't mind, just wanted to add something.
Yes, please do.
Because I am a regular volunteer at Community Food Club. And to speak not only, yes, to the incredible generosity that our members have with each other, but they are also such an example about being conscientious about food waste. Because we often have food sales, like, oh, we got a lot of bread in, so you buy one, you get 2 free. And so when I'm doing checkout, I say, you know, you can get 2 more loaves of bread and it won't cost you anything. that would be wasteful. I can't use it. I mean, they are so, they won't, we go, it's like, oh, well, it's BOGO, I better get it, But they are so thoughtful about everything, whether they will use it or not. I mean, what an example that is. And if they can, it's like, I don't care if 3 of these are free, I'm not gonna take it because it might be wasted.
Yeah. Yes, Jean.
With all the food insecurity around the world, I wish we could share what we have here. Expand it, to the rest of the world. It's just, they're people too.
Yeah, Carol.
For Heather, I'm curious, I didn't realize that Degage's focus was on the homelessness of women. I didn't realize that. Did this replace Liz's house, or is that still in place, or?
I'm not super familiar with Liz's
Okay,
house.
well, Liz's house was on Division, and it sheltered, gave homes to women, and they might have been in abusive situations.
I think maybe that fills a different
Okay.
that actually might be that niche versus the women that are living
Yeah,
and
and we
coming
used
and
to have
going
some
on the
kind of
program.
relationship with them.
Yeah. And Degage is having like an 80% success rate of the
Yeah.
women that are using emergency services to
Okay.
eventually, 80% are then moving out of the system,
Yeah.
becoming housed, and then not.
I think they might move to Liz's house,
Yeah.
Okay.
because that's more of a permanent, I believe.
Yeah.
And I have one more comment, I don't know if everybody realizes, but Westminster, almost from day one, has been one of the, I don't know if there's any other pantry that does this, but we give out personal care products. And when you think about making a choice between food or toilet paper or whatever, I mean, it's just marvelous. And I remember Ann Wyrick, when she was here as associate pastor, she said, we're not getting rid of those personal care products. Those are just really important. So to this day, we get a whole big bag that we pack. In addition to their 3 bags of groceries, they get their bag of whatever's in their shampoo, toilet paper, whatever.
Carrigo used to have a big truck.
Well, I just wanted to make this comment. I was just talking to my nephew at Easter, and I think he's in his 30s, and he was just saying that I think the poverty rate is now people who make $50,000 a year, something like that. That I mean, the cost to live, even for young kids graduating from college, and you can think about what it would be like for people living in poverty and homeless.
I mean, poverty is $62,000 a year
62,000.
for a family of 4.
Maybe it's 50,000. I mean, you always think 50,000. That's pretty good money, but not anymore. I guess that's a long time.
Yeah, because if you don't own your home, rent right now, it's just awful. That's why so many kids are living with their parents.
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah, I think that was, I think the governor right now is trying to press that of finding affordable housing. It's just, even if you wanted to have an apartment or a home, you can't afford it because there isn't availability. Not so much the, I have money, but I don't, but I think it's with the food too, which I think the food club addresses it, gives them back the dignity of shopping for themselves, but also learning how to budget,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Marcy, go back to you.
It's great to hear about these individual organizations, and I'm impressed with what Heather said about they don't overlap, because I can always worry about that we're overlapping. But they're meeting immediate needs for today, needs for this month. Do you think the church has a role in attempting to address the systemic issues involved here? Or is the church's role really to feed people today, to help people get through tomorrow, and that's our lane?
That's a good question. Yeah, Susan.
Well, right, it's thinking about the immediate needs. I think one misperception is all of these organizations, the goal is security, whether it's housing security or food security. It's not emergency shelter and emergency feeding. It really is, that is the goal of every organization. And so we are trying to figure out what is our place as Westminster. We've been visiting the different organizations, and how do we stand with you in the middle of this? And honestly, Together West Michigan is addressing the systemic change, because some of these big things, I think that's a place that we're really trying to engage. Because that's coming from the community, right? Those needs, the community is saying, this is what we need, and housing is definitely one of them.
Yeah, and I would say, like, I know for Feeding America's work, there's a big subdivision of that that's just dedicated to advocacy. Because every time the Farm Bill comes up, like, that has everything to do with supplemental nutritional programs, food stamps, et cetera. So, yeah, absolutely. The local organizing, coalition building, as well as larger, more national efforts to ensure that these systems are in place and improved. Bert?
As a retired person who lives off investments, I'm always interested in how my stocks and so forth are going. Boeing is in trouble right now because they have put my shareholder values above quality in airlines. We got out of the Port Hills nursing home business a while ago, and private equity is buying up thousands of nursing homes across the country and selling off the property and changing the financial models and understaffing them. And then private equity is buying up all the housing stock they can get a hold of. Our family members' apartment, which is just a modest place, has gone up 50% in the last 2 years, you know, and that is not acceptable. And yet these enormous financial players are working absolutely against what we're doing. You know, whatever you might divert for a little bit of food supplement, it's going to be gobbled up. I think in our case, Social Security is at $2,000 and the rent is $1,300. So that you live on the rest for the year. Obviously, we supplement that, but it's a big deal, and just tremendous pressure on everybody.
I'm part of the housing group of Together West Michigan, and I am extremely concerned about the amphitheater and the soccer stadium that both seem to be amazingly, you know, pushed ahead. And one of them is planning to build 750 unit apartments. And if there is any way that you know anyone in the commission or care about writing to the county commission, insists that they have workforce housing as part of it. And not just, because so much of the housing that has gone up has been luxury apartments, not available for working people.
And we had that issue in Coopersville. A builder came in and originally was going to build affordable housing, but when his final plan came on, they weren't affordable. Thank goodness the board canceled him out. But I said that's a lot of problems too, is the builders go in was saying, oh, we're gonna make them low income, and the next thing you know, they're charging $2,000 for a studio, you know, and so it is a big issue. But I wanted to say, I think Pat, you said it, and I never stopped to think about it, is they could go to a pantry, but if they don't have anywhere to put the food, how can they do that? You know, they would like to feed their family, but they're living out of their car, you know, and I never stopped to think about that.
I mean, if we help them with this grocery store, we'll have money left over then to pay for the housing or the gas.
If I could speak to the complex care housing that we're trying, this is the first in the state. And so it's a combination of Degage, Trinity Health, the city of Grand Rapids, but right here, literally 1 block this way, we're trialing this program, and the women are paying $230 a month rent to live there. But inside, not only do they have their own bed, armoire, TV, they were given, all these things were given from Trinity Health, which is just what an amazing partner they've been.
That's a whole lot,
And, but inside, they have a little refrigerator. So they are able to start to develop those skills of food. They can have a hot pot. They're not letting them cook there. There's some beautiful kitchens on some of the floors, but there's some cooking lessons that are going to occur, but not necessarily free cooking for everybody, just not super safe if it's not staffed. But they're starting to build those skills and try to figure out, okay, how, if we house people and give them this affordable housing, how else can we improve nutrition, food insecurity, their jobs, their health, all the services are coming to them there, and they're really trying this model to see if we can achieve success. And if so, then maybe we start expanding this. Other organizations are going to start to build these complex care housing situations, so it does give people housing so they can start to, and everything else will build from there. So I'm pretty excited about
I
it.
think that's what it's called now, Parkside Landing, right? Isn't that the building's called?
Where is it?
Yeah, I think
It's
that's
right
the
right
brand.
They named it, but.
I think that might be, yeah. it might
Is
be.
it?
Yeah, I think that's the brand.
That's a new brand?
We gotta
It's
go
from,
with that. It's
isn't
lovely.
it?
What is it
Yes.
called?
Yeah.
What's it called, Hearthside what?
Parkside Land.
Parkside Landing. Yeah.
It's the first kind of St. Mary's building, old school that way.
Right next to the Cancer
South.
Society.
It is the old,
Attached to the-
it is the old cancer
Cancer
society.
Society.
It's their old building, the whole lot.
So because we're nearing the hour, I want to kind of close out with this question, is the quintessential food security question, which is, Westminster certainly has a relationship with each of these organizations, but how can the individuals in this room be supporting your work or the work of your organizations, and where can they go to learn more?
Okay, great. First, Degage dollars. I saw that Justice Committee was selling them today, which is fantastic. You buy this for $2. People can go then take that, rather than giving money, this is absolutely gold standard on how to help, because they can go get services, showers, food, they can buy clothing, anything with the $2 at Degage. We're serving, you can certainly ask me, and I will, on the distribution list, we're starting to serve the second Sunday every other month. It'll be again in May. I think it's Mother's Day Sunday, serving dinner at Degage. There's multiple ways to help at Degage. We're more than happy to help to all kinds of places to work there. But those would be my advocacy ones.
Volunteer. Mary, what would you say? Volunteer and
Donate.
yes, and dollars.
Because our membership is increasing so rapidly
Right.
that we don't want to get to the point where we have to have a waiting list because we can't meet any more needs.
And we do purchase some of our food.
Yeah.
We do purchase.
It's not all donated.
Because we don't
Not
get
all
eggs
shot.
donated. We don't get, no, we do get milk donated. There's certain things that we do purchase.
But we buy lots of Feeding America.
We had an issue in Coopersville. We got all kinds of eggs donated, but they were in huge cartons. And then they were trying to divide them up, but how do you put eggs in anything? So right now, we've been doing a bliss of giving them.
Put it in your shoes.
Yeah. But I thought, okay, well, it's nice that you donated, but, I just took 6 dozen cartons over there. So I think a big thing too, a lot of people don't realize, is you have to educate. I'm an information junkie. A lot of people will come to me and say, okay, actually my granddaughter-in-law just said, we have 3 bags of clothing. Where do they go, Granny? And I said, okay, bring them, and I know where they go. But I think that's a big thing, is to educate people and to know what, now that I know you 3, and I'll talk about it if people are asking me about it. So.
Good point. Jane?
I'll stay for a few minutes after if anyone would like to put their name on the email list, then you'll get information and a sign up. And you could it's very optional each, like it's every 3 months. And we send out a sign up genius, and if you have time, great, and if not, so it's as needed.
And we use
You can always send Susan your email at a later date she'll get it to me.
And then just a quick plug for this coming weekend, 13th and 14th, Saturday, we'll have a really fantastic dinner with Derek Weston. Jen and I got to connect with him a couple of times. His work is fantastic. The food is going to be great. I cannot plug Saturday enough. And then Sunday, of course, Derek will be preaching and worship and then doing adult
And his
education.
book is great.
Yes, yes. So both are fantastic opportunities. I think today is the deadline to register for dinner.
Yeah.
So be sure to do that if you are.
Is there a sign up at the,
You just can do it
Online
yeah.
on the
website.
Yep, and I think that information is in the bulletin.
Or tell me and I'll make sure you get signed up.
Yeah.
How's that?
Cool. Yeah.
Okay.
Would you please join me in thanking our panelists for their